Hello, everybody. Welcome into UFO Fantasy Football. I'm Jackson, and today I'm going to go over my team in a $300 fantasy football tournament, aka BDG3. Shout out to BDGE for hosting the tournament, and I bought myself in, so I hope this goes well. It is a super flex tournament league kind of thing. Basically, it's 12 teams in my league, and there's I think how many? There's quite a few different leagues. I think there's like 50 of them. And then basically the top two go on, and then the most points and move on from there. And it's pretty fun. But this is my team. And before we get into that, if you like the video, please like and subscribe. It would mean the world to us. We really want to grow, so anything would be helpful. Thank you. But now let's get right into it. So it's a super flex league, which means you can start two quarterbacks. So you can start one quarterback, two running back, three receiver, one tight end, two flex, and a super flex. So it's a lot of starters. No defense, no kicker. So let's get right into it. I was at the 9 pick, and let's see here. Oh, that's not what I wanted. There we go. All right. So this is my team over here, King Stonewall. That's me. Follow me on Twitch. Just kidding, unless you want to. So I started off with Kyler Murray. I thought him being at the 109 was kind of insane in the super flex. So I was incredibly happy to get him. And I got Najee Harris, who I don't have a whole lot of shares of. But I think he's a top 8 back. So I'm not complaining with that. I believe this is half PPR. So he might not get as much as like a full PPR because he gets a lot of receptions, but I'm not mad at that at all. And then I went back-to-back Green Bay Packers, Aaron Jones and Aaron Rodgers, the double Aarons, the Aaron stack in Green Bay. I love it. I really enjoy this actually because I have Aaron Jones as a top 12 back, I believe. I think he's got really high upside with the lack of receiving options in Green Bay. And if he gets any receiving touchdowns from my other boy, Aaron Rodgers, that's a nice little stack. A little stack action, you know? And then coming back around, I needed some receivers, right? So because I shored up my quarterbacks, my running backs, because those get really, the depth later in the draft is not very good. But for receivers, it's pretty good because I was able to wait, and I still got Hollywood Brown, who I stacked with Kyler Murray, which I think is pretty solid, honestly. Hollywood Brown could be in for a great year, especially in the first few weeks without DeAndre Hopkins. Then I went another receiver in Jerry Jeudy. Now, I think the main receiver in Denver is going to be Courtland Sutton, and I love Courtland Sutton, but if by the off chance, maybe he gets hurt or maybe he just isn't what we thought he was, Jerry Jeudy is the second guy, and he could just eat in Denver all year. So I went with him for my wide receiver 2, which I'm pretty happy about. And then somehow Dalton Schultz fell to me on the way back. I love Dalton Schultz this year. If you've been following it all, you know I love him. I think the volume alone is gonna propel him probably to. I have him as a top 3 tight end. So let's hope I am correct. On the way back, I chose Adam Thielen. I really wanted Elijah Moore, but he went right before me. I didn't love any of the other receivers here, but I think Adam Thielen has some good upside just because the new offense in Minnesota is pretty pass heavy from what I've been hearing, from what they've been saying. And Thielen is just kind of a monster when it comes to the red zone. He's just a touchdown machine. So, I'll take a couple 2 touchdown weeks from Adam Thielen. Why not? On the way back, I was definitely hoping for any of these 3 receivers. Olave, Kirk, or Lazard. But they all went. So I went with Chase Claypool because I needed another, my first flex in this case. And, the Pittsburgh offense is a little scary to go into, but I think Claypool could have a really good year. He's like a low-key sleeper for me. just because Big Ben couldn't really get him the ball as much as he wanted to, and he's a pretty big dude, Claypool, so he can make those contested catches, and I think he could take a leap this year, being his third year. Third-year receivers have a pretty good track record, so I'm hoping for some big explosive plays from Claypool this year. And then on the way back, I definitely needed some backup running backs. I went with Michael Carter, who is technically the number one in New York right now, not Brees Hall. I think by the end of the year, Brees Hall will be, but at the start, it's Michael Carter, and he's the better pass blocker, and I think that's why they want to use him. So I got the Jets' number one running back in the 10th round, which I will happily take. They have a pretty decent offensive line too, so should get some good work. On the way back, I went Nyheim Hines, who, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I think he's been doing really well in training camp. If anything happens to Jonathan Taylor, Hines could be in for a great year. And just even when Taylor's healthy, I think Hines still might get some of the third down work, the passing work. I'm actually really excited about him this year. Coming around, I grabbed Cole Kmet, which may be a little silly. But I think backup tight ends, I think they're more important than people think. And if Schultz doesn't pan out like I think he does, I think Kmet's going to have a monster year. And my thought going into this was I think Kmet could be better than Claypool or Michael Carter year long for my flex option. So that's kind of where my head was at. And I actually really like it. Going back around, I chose Michael Gallup. He's not on the PUP list, which means he's only probably going to miss 1 to 2, maybe 3 games. Because if he wasn't the PUP, he would miss automatically 4. And I've been talking all year about Schultz and CD Lamb just going off this year because they're the only 2 targets. But if Gallup's healthy by that time, I mean, he could be a great option, especially like he's got that rapport with Dak a little bit. He was excellent the past couple of years before the injury as like a wide receiver 3 too. So now he's going to be the wide receiver 2 in the offense. I got high hopes for him. Coming back, I needed a backup quarterback. I chose Kenny Pickett, which maybe I waited a little too long for another quarterback, but I think eventually Kenny Pickett is going to start this offense. And I had Claypool and I got Najee Harris. So if he does end up starting, I got the stacks all ready for Pickett. And being a Steelers fan, right, as you can see, I really think Trubisky's going to start this year. But I think probably midway through, it's going to be Pickett. I think the offensive line needs to gel together before they start Pickett, just for like better protection and stuff like that. And I mean, what we saw in the preseason was pretty impressive, gotta say. So I'm very excited about this team this year. All right, coming back around, I chose Wan'Dale Robinson and Alec Pierce, a couple of rookie wide receivers. I think they have pretty decent upside, especially Wan'Dale. Wan'Dale might be one of the only like healthy receivers in New York for Daniel Jones to throw to, because Kadarius Toney is always kind of injured. He's always got something wrong with him. Kenny Golladay is just like a shell of his former self. Sterling Shepard, I think he's still injured as well. I couldn't name you another receiver. Maybe Dante Pettis is there still. I don't like any of them. Give me the high upside with Wan'Dale Robinson for sure, especially as my 6th receiver. I think he could definitely he could crack into the starting lineup pretty easily. And Alec Pierce, I mean, besides Michael Pittman in Indianapolis, it's Paris Campbell. No, he always gets injured, but I don't know. I think I have high hopes for Alec Pierce being the wide receiver 2, worst case wide receiver 3. And with an upgraded quarterback with Matt Ryan, I think Alec Pierce could be sneaky as well. All right, and then is getting into the very, very rough rounds. I chose Chris Evans, the backup to Joe Mixon out in Cincinnati. If anything happens to Mixon, I think it's Evans' role. I think Samaje Perine is still there, but I assume he'll only get he'll kind of stay in that third down back role. So I think Chris Evans, if anything were to happen to Mixon, would be in for a huge role. And same with Dearness Johnson, who I took right after that. we've seen him produce when Nick Chubb is hurt, and he looks incredible. Like he's like the third running back on the depth chart, and he's insanely talented. So I was very happy to get him. And then with my last two picks, I chose Nick Westbrook-Ikine, who he is a starting wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans. We'll see how Treylon Burks does this year. I think he is now listed as a starter, but he wasn't for a while. We'll see how that goes. We'll see. I'm not convinced that Treylon Burks is the answer there. And Nick Westbrook-Ikine, I think he had a couple good weeks last year. And getting him in the 19th round, my second last pick, I could have done worse, I think. And then lastly, you guys can't see it. I chose Greg Dulcich, the rookie tight end for the Denver Broncos. He is now on IR, which is very unfortunate for me. That was just very, very bad luck on my part. But if he does get healthy, there was talk that he could be the number one tight end over Albert Aquabanon. I think I said that correctly. I just kind of shot for high upside at the end. High upside, or if someone was to get hurt, it would be massive volume for the backups, like Chris Evans and Dearness Johnson. So that's my team. I don't hate it. I really don't. I don't play a whole lot of Superflex. I'm definitely a different beast that I had to get used to. And obviously a super deep league. But I'm very excited for this tournament. And I'm looking to win this thing. So keep your eye out. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, again, please like, subscribe, follow us on the socials. Would mean a lot. So until next time, see ya.